The sudden death of lovable comedian Chris Farley on December 18, 1997 shook fans worldwide. Farley was an actor whose larger-than-life personality and his off-screen drug problems have since been the subject of much speculation over his fatal overdose. What brought down the curtain on this comic genius, and what might be if he had been saved and went down a different path? Tracing the arc of a comet. Chris Farley was a shooting star who streaked through the arc of comedic stardom.
It's not gonna change me. I'm gonna do the same old Chris.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna happen here. Oh.
From the family stages of his early life to the grand platforms of Saturday Night Live and Hollywood, Farley brought an enthusiasm that was both infectious and uplifting. While Marquette University and the Second City only bettered his talent, it was his true inner capability of connecting with the audience that defined his career. Farley's humor was more than funny. It elicited moments of joy and relatability far past the screen and stage, leaving a legacy that will live on in the annals of comedy. His tragically short life was a shining testament to the possibility of humor moving lives and stirring emotions from pure hilarity to tremendous compassion. The birth and early life in Wisconsin. Born into an Irish-American family with good bloodlines in Madison, Wisconsin, Chris Farley quickly became the heartbeat of every family gathering with his natural comedic flair and undeniable charm. His first audience, from the time he was a small boy, was his family and friends. They often doubled over with laughter at his antics. They were his family, and particularly his father, Tom Farley, an oversized, outgoing, gregarious personality with a gift for storytelling and influenced by his enormous influence, helped nurture Chris's early sensibilities for humor and performance. This environment developed not only his talent for comedy, but also instilled in him a deep love for storytelling, which would later be the basis for his type of comedy. Family dynamics and early inspirations. Chris's early childhood was a family affair, and humor was equal to the elixir of life. At the Farley home, laughter and storytelling filled the rooms, hence it was the ideal environment for Chris to further develop his comedic skills. The lively dynamics of a big family and supportive parents allowed him to try his humor in practice, which developed his talent for involving people in fits of laughter. Those early family gatherings served as an impromptu open mic, where Chris got plenty of practice in reading and responding to a live audience, skills that would stand him in good stead in his future profession. Formative years at Catholic school. The formative having gone through the Catholic schools in Madison, Chris became a favorite among his peers and his teachers, with all of them loving his infectious humor, which lightened any moment.
Oh! I killed it!
These years were very influential for him in developing his public performance skills because he was often elected for roles in school and local theater productions. Catholic school was also an environment of discipline, and it taught him about timing and structure in comedy, reflecting on his life. His talent for sprinkling humor all over circumstances made him an outstanding student and always a favorite among his classmates.
I hate those damn things. Oh, man!
He built a pedestal upon which he would later bask in success on, stage, and off-screen. Further improvement of the skills at Marquette University. At Marquette University, Chris would find a more structured way of pursuing his passion for performance. He dove into the theater and communications programs. He showed a love for acting that had him work in everything from Shakespeare to modern American plays, often stealing the show with his otherworldly commitment to raw talent. Marquette broadened his exposure to different comedy and drama genres, building a richer understanding of the craft. University productions were his testing ground, the place where he tried both scripted and improvisational comedy, perfecting his technique, and learned to seize control of the dynamics of larger audiences. In a word, his college years were a time not to come into his own as a performer, but rather a time to build those stores of resiliency and flexibility that would stand as the hallmark of his career.
Right now, Chris Farley is trying to shape up for the show. How's it going?
It sucks!
The Second City, sharpening his craft. Chris's move to Chicago to join the Second City was a gigantic moment in his career. The renowned improv theater is the starting point for many comedy legends. It put Chris in a challenging creative environment that set his talents through the roof. At Second City, he was a part of a quick-thinking and adaptable ensemble, where he honed his skills most valued in improv comedy. The training here was grueling and very expansive. Everything from the physical comedy to the profound emotional truth helped him exercise some subtlety in his performances. His time at Second City would be formative, securing his place as a sharp comedic talent and preparing him for the national stage. Now, what's your favorite Chris Farley memory? Make sure to tell us down in the comments section below. Saturday Night Live. Chris Farley's joining Saturday Night Live is like an up-and-coming dramatic actor or something similar. He just turned into a national sensation and rose to a whole different level. Chris's physical comedy just about reinvents the show in terms of energy at SNL. He soon became known for his loud characters that kept audiences engaged both in attendance and at the show, and those watching the broadcast. The routines were often in your face but heartfelt, dramatic sketches of outrageous comedy spiced with vulnerability and sensitivity that made his characters lovable. Time on SNL was defined by iconic performances that connected with both the audience and critics, indicative of a unique talent that balances slapstick comic relief with profound emotional timbre, from TV screens to film stardom. Moving from SNL to significant film roles allowed Chris to branch out and let his comedic craft explode into another avenue. His filmography started with roles in which he got to show his dynamic, magnetic presence on screen, always able to pull off that perfect timing for comedy. In Tommy Boy and many other movies like it, Chris Farley showcased his skills as a tip of the roses performer who could produce laughter from viewers from both slapstick and depth of feeling. His on-screen duos, especially those with David Spade, were some of the most endearing partnerships that the audience could ask for. These films enabled him to finally reach a broad audience, consolidating his status as a versatile actor and a star, one who had been both leading critical success and commercial success. The challenges and successes in Hollywood. During the peak of his success, Chris would meet gigantic personal demons. The unrelenting demands of fame would further spur on his problems of addiction and health. He was always taking from one place to the next. But amidst such insurmountable challenges, Chris was unperturbed in the skills nurtured for comedy, and to his audience, he continued making every single act the best that he could give. It testified to the characteristics he possessed and how much he was in love with his art since he was able to make it through such adversities. This would have spoken not only of his strength but also of a deep resolve evident in the face of so many trials, and an equally deep commitment to his craft and his fans. The complexity of fame. Through all the complexities of fame, Chris seemed to navigate, if not exceptionally well, at least naturally, all the time. Gregarious, generous, under intense scrutiny, and later benefiting from the same tendencies that made him a beloved public figure while leaving him open to its pitfalls. His life story is truly an example of the flip sides of fame. On the one hand, it shows incredible glamorous opportunities, and on the other hand, enormous pressures arise. Chris's experience underscores the significance of a support system under the limelight and exposes issues to do with mental health in the entertainment industry. The Final Day, a reflective journey. Farley's final day epitomizes the thorny contradictions of his life. A man celebrated for his public performances in front of packed auditoriums, but tragically isolated in his Chicago apartment at the time of his death. The subdued ending to his life brought home this point with a great depth that even these profound struggles of the spotlighted, often invisible, could not do. It reminds us of the critical need for empathy and understanding when dealing with personal difficulties confronted by public personalities, reminding the human vulnerabilities at the back of the public persona. Investigation and media reaction. In the immediate aftermath of his death, there was a media frenzy, often overshadowing the man behind the celebrity. His death investigation shed some light on the circumstances of his death, but also sparked a much broader conversation about the lifestyle and pressures associated with fame. This conversation opened up critical dialogue on issues of health, wellness, and support mechanisms within the entertainment industry. It spoke to the need for better resources or ways to help provide support to artists who may be struggling with the myriad of burdens that come with fame, cultural legacy, and influence comedy holds. Chris Farley will forever be remembered for having embedded his brand of comedy with the relentless energy he projected and his genuine connection with the audience. His acts serve as a benchmark for blending physical humor and emotional nuance, and the current generation of comedians have taken inspiration from him, seeing him in the recipe for success. His talent, though, which ranges from uproarious joy to poignant sadness, yet can wear those emotions on his sleeve and keep them inserted into a comedic framework, has influenced the genre and secured his place as one of the greatest actors in the comedy realm. Remembering Farley, celebrations and tributes. Farley's final day epitomizes the thorny contradictions of his life. A man celebrated for his public performances in front of packed auditoriums, but tragically isolated in his Chicago apartment at the time of his death. The subdued ending to his life brought home this point that even these profound struggles of the famous are often hidden. It reminds us of the critical need for empathy and understanding when dealing with personal difficulties confronted by public personalities, reminding us of the human vulnerabilities that are hidden behind the public persona. This is the story of the death of Chris Farley. Now think about the joy he brought to the world and the troubles in his life. Farley's story is another one of those personal disasters, like Belushi's, that ended much too soon. Click subscribe to find more stories and hit like and share to keep the legend's memories alive.